Hello, 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 children and folks and everybody. This is the Kaos Circus gang, and on this episode is Mia Bright here with me, Dennis TKR, and this is just gonna be a review episode, a little critique of the new Artemis Fowl movie that just came out on Disney Plus yesterday, June 12th. 2020.
Full warning, all spoilers. If you want to watch the movie yourself, don't. But if you do, watch it first. We're going to discuss spoilers.
And I'm sorry if you watch it first.
Yes, I'm so sorry for you.
Yeah, so, overall, real quick, huge fan of Artemis Fowl. Love the series. Reading the books to my kids. I read them when I was a kid. I'm sad now.
So,
yep.
I'm also a big fan. Read. I know there's like some additional side books, but I know there's 8 main books. I've read all of them. Enjoyed all of them a lot. We read them a bunch. I went into this movie with the expectation that it would either be a horrible or a cult classic within like 5 years. Because that's just how it appeared from the advertising. I went in with no expectations of greatness. Just with the expectation that it'll be fun.
Dude,
and
the trailer made it
decent.
look like it was going to be great.
The trailer looked pretty good.
It was a lie.
I knew it was too good to be true.
You lied to me.
But so, here's the thing.
Yes.
The movie was bad. It wasn't just bad because of how it referenced the source material. It was very inaccurate and changed a lot of the cool parts, but that could have been fine if it did its own thing. But it didn't do its own thing. It was generically bad.
Yep.
There was no real redeeming qualities. There were a couple.
Dude, and I am so lenient with movies. I try to justify so many things, and I will with this movie. I understand why they did certain stuff, which we will go over later. But, god fucking damn it. And sorry for my language. This was terrible.
It was awful.
And it makes me sad because I really fucking like Artemis Fowl.
Yeah, no,
and there are tiny little points that I loved.
There's a couple things that looks like it had potential. Like, for example,
I'm gonna post this on like a picture on the YouTube thing with the video as we're going to have it up as we're going over it. But I have a little whiteboard that was supposed to I was hoping to have like a few tallies, a few things of disappointing things, and it is filled with negative things with a dash of positive things.
Yeah. So for reference, when you look at the board, the green is positive, red, good and bad, or kind of just okay.
Yeah.
The black is negative. You'll be able to see which
when
color
you see
there is
this,
the most
it defines itself.
So
minus the movie title.
Yes, the movie. Yeah. I mean, even the movie itself sucks. Like it's fitting that that's the color.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, it worked out on its own right there.
Yeah. So let's start with some of the positives.
Yes.
Let's start with some of the positives.
There's not much. It'll be like 2 things.
So, for one, the underground city of the fairies, Haven City, looks pretty cool.
The CGI of Haven City is brilliant, and the artists should pat themselves on the back for it. Amazing work. I love it.
Very well done. Very detailed.
Yes.
But it didn't get lost in the details. It still looked like one cohesive place.
Yeah, and it actually looked realistic, honestly.
I mean, well, realistic within the context.
Well, yeah.
You're probably not going to find the city in,
no shit.
Detroit.
Yeah, but like, I'm saying, like, no, it was pleasant to the eye, and it looked like if this sort of thing was real, that's how it would look like, type of deal.
Yeah, so that was good. In the movie and the books, there is a technician / super genius centaur called Foley.
Yeah.
He was done pretty well in this movie. I have a small criticism that he was not shown nearly enough, but when he was on screen, he was the best part of the scene.
Foley was great, yes.
Really, really enjoyed him.
They did him quite well. Second best character out of all the thing, I do want to say Mulch Diggums,
yeah.
Yeah. The dwarf, I don't remember him being this extra tall in the book. I could be wrong. It's been a while for me.
I don't think he was.
Yeah, but in the end, they still made it work. I like it, and he was good.
He was well done. I was a little apprehensive of Josh Gad for him because
I think it was a good choice. He pulled it off.
I think he pulled it off. It's just that he usually isn't good at this kind of humor that I would have expected.
Well,
but they
yeah.
changed the humor, but it worked. So I think that was maybe a bit of a risk they took, but it was a good risk.
Well, he
and it worked
usually
out well.
does really innocent, nice type of comedy.
Yeah, like Olaf the Snowman or shit like that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I mean, to be fair,
Don't talk shit about Olaf, alright? We're all big fans here. Alright, I love Olaf.
but yeah. So
I'm a huge
he's
fan.
he
gotta count
was
it.
not done amazingly well. I still have some issues
Oh,
with
man,
him,
yeah,
but he
there's-
was better than I expected. So that was good.
Exactly. Third best out of all the acting, Butler, which also has a little negative to it, and I hope it doesn't sound prejudiced.
So, the thing
when we
is
say
that
this.
Butler in the books is described as Eurasian. He could be mistaken. I think the specific example they gave is mistaken for Japanese or European, which is
Yes.
kind of a weird example, but that's what they said. And in this movie, Butler was not Eurasian. This
He was African American.
yeah.
Or
Now-
British American. Or British Black. Sorry. Well, how do you say that? British African? What is that for, like, African Americans? But, like.
He's in Ireland.
Well, he wasn't
He's a
Irish.
black Irish folk.
The actor is not Irish, though. Is he?
I don't know.
I think he is.
I have no idea.
I mean, he's a great actor, and he actually played the part magnificently. So, like, kudos to him. Weird on the blue eyes. That was a bit odd.
I do have to say that good acting choice. It's a little weird that they chose that.
Yeah, but
He didn't do.
But he
did a
pulled
good
it
job.
off.
Did a good job with what he had, which to be fair wasn't a whole lot. But
Yeah, I know.
he
They
should have
didn't
been
give
given
him
a
much.
much bigger role. But for what he had, actor did a great job.
yeah, beautiful,
But
amazing. I
there's
like it.
there's also kind of a similar kind of like a Converse thing with Holly Short, who in the books is described as having hazel skin, while it makes you think maybe
Hazel
like a
skin, green eyes.
Mediterranean kind of look, maybe
And
Arabic.
much older, and
Much
yeah, you would
older.
think she was gonna be exotic. She's supposed to be like
She looks like in the movie a 14-year-old girl, like white
yeah,
girl.
and like I said while we were watching the film, I said Jessica Alba, Mia
I
said
said Halle
Berry,
I think.
and
what
both
I got.
amazing choices. They would have been great for it. But I actually, now that I think about it, a little hindsight, I understand why they didn't get an adult to do this, because for the small like romantic tension that's supposed to technically happen later on, that would be really fucking weird.
That would be awkward and probably bad, yeah.
Inappropriate in every fucking way.
Considering they're skipping a lot of the time in the books, because in the books, Artemis, who is a child mastermind, and Holly, who is like a 300-year-old fairy, which is kind of weird, but they develop a bit of a romantic tension, but that's after Artemis is like 17 is when that really
Yeah,
kicks
it
off.
doesn't kick in until like he's pretty much an adult.
An adult. Well, in
Yeah,
the
but
movies,
still,
they skipped all of that.
but in the end, like, yeah, no, I actually, like, in hindsight, I can see why they didn't do that, and the publicity stunt that would happen with that,
yeah.
for sure, because that would just not, no.
That would have drawn criticism.
Yeah,
I
no,
can
that would have been a
understand.
lot of negative influence. So, like, I'm gonna let that part pass, but they still could have made
Yeah.
somebody a little bit more closer to it.
But the casting choice wasn't terrible for Holly.
No, no, she did a great job. Actually, I liked
Yeah.
her. No, Holly was.
She was pretty good.
She was played quite well.
Yes.
And
And Artemis was cast well.
Artemis was great. Kind of weak in the beginning. More badass toward the end.
Yeah.
I was like rooting for him. In the beginning, I was like, no,
Yeah.
go back to school, kid.
I'd say most of the casting choices were good. The only
Yeah.
one that I'm really
Even Colin Farrell was great.
yeah, no, he was. The only one I'm not really sure about is Opal, because I have no idea who played her. Because we got to see her for an entire 2
Okay,
minutes.
if you're about to talk about the voice dissertation, that was not the acting. That was just straight up whoever the fuck did that producing wise.
I know, but I'm more saying I don't know who played her, which builds into my next point, which is a critique of, for supposedly being the main villain, we see 2 minutes of Opal.
Yes.
That's not good. we should have seen more of her.
Well, technically, she shouldn't have been in this whatsoever.
Well, she shouldn't have been in it whatsoever.
Yeah,
but
no, I'm serious.
If she was, expand upon her, why she would be doing this. Instead, we got a generic-ass motivation if I want to take over the Earth. Which, sure, that's a bit like what she was in the books, but she actually had justification for, like, kind of petty, selfish desires.
Yeah.
While in this, she has no justification.
So, like, on top of this, I want to say, so, I can understand why they did some things they did filming-wise, direction-wise, but, okay, so, it's Disney, maybe they were trying to make it more family-friendly. Cool. I can understand that if you wanted to simplify it and make certain decisions, combine some things from other books into one. Okay. But the storyline, the plot, made sense not at all.
It did not make any sense.
And I worded it specifically like that because that's how the plot was.
It's...
No, I'm serious. Like, it was like bad English.
It was convoluted, but not in a fun way. It's not in a way where you
It was simplified and distorted, but then ran all together, all too quick, but then not enough at the same time.
Yeah, it was too much and not enough. It was too much stuff, not enough building up.
Too much fluff, not enough meat.
There we go. That's a good way to put it.
Yep.
And whenever they actually did try to introduce something meaty, they just flipped by it immediately.
It was quick.
Yeah.
Like the moments. And one of them being is the freaking death and reincarnation of Butler.
Yeah, like that was a very major point in the books. That was done very well in the books. I normally am not a fan of killing a character and then bringing them back, but
also,
in the
by the
books,
way, did not happen until the third book.
Yes, that's what I'm pointing out.
Yes.
But Butler in the books, he died. He came back. He got brought back by magic, and that scene in the book is very tense because you know that Artemis has to keep Butler alive until somebody with magic can come and help him.
Yep.
The way it works there is he actually used his intelligence. He put Butler in I believe it was a shootout at a restaurant and he got shot a bunch,
yes.
So he got put into a meat freezer. And like he had his heart rate slowed down, so he stopped pumping blood out from the wounds. He got the wounds plugged, tried to do all of that, and that was smart. But in this movie, Butler was brought back by, he died, and then Holly, the main character, was able to use magic again. Side point, her magic was somehow turned off by people in charge of the ferry. What's his name? Cudgeon?
I forgot.
Briar Cudgeon?
The one that we don't like.
The one that, the bad character.
The bad fairy.
Yeah. So the bad fairy turned off Holly's magic because she wanted to help the humans.
Yeah.
And so Holly got her magic back at the last second, and she,
healed Butler.
Yeah, healed Butler. No intelligence on Artemis's part to, like, preserve him or extend his life in any way.
Just a dramatic scene, you know, with Butler giving his last words to Artemis. And then all of a sudden, Commander Root turning the magic back on, and bam, all of a sudden he's back again. Like, it's just generic. That's happened over and over and over.
It's generic. It undermines any emotional authority that the movie might have claimed to have. It just sucks. It sucks a lot. Speaking of which, talking about Butler, in this movie, they specifically give out his first name. Everybody's on a first-name basis with him.
Yes, you talk about that,
and
you're specific about it.
The thing is, in the books, Butler's first name was not known to anybody. Literally nobody. That was kept a secret. Because, regardless of whether you think this is a cool detail or dumb as shit, that's up to you. But, the first names, I believe, in the books are kept secret, with the idea being that the Butlers would not have their own identity. Their identity would be tied to the fowls that they were protecting.
Technically, Butler is not... I believe what they were doing is that Butler's more of a title for them. They take on the last name Butler.
Yeah.
But it wasn't actually a real last name
No,
either.
I believe it was a thing they trained for.
Yes. Yeah, no,
like,
there was training explained in the books. I recall that.
So... And the thing is, the first name was supposed to be sacred, kept hidden entirely. So, what did they do in the movie? They revealed it immediately. It's like,
you don't call him the Butler, you call him Dom. First of all, Butler's a much cooler name than Dom. But second of all, in the books, part of what made Butler's death before the eventual brought back to life so impactful is that he told Artemis his first name right before he died, which showed that he was seriously convinced he was going to die, because he was not supposed to do that while he was alive.
Yep.
Which meant that it added an extra layer of tension. And then in the fourth book, after Artemis and Butler have their minds wiped, the only word that Butler needs to hear is his first name, and then he realizes that everything that people are claiming is true, because there's no circumstance in which he would tell his first name to Artemis outside of him dying. And and Artemis saying on a recording Butler's first name proved that Artemis was telling the truth, because that was the only scenario at which Butler would have it. So that triggered all his flashbacks and stuff, and it was a very cool idea.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, no, I actually was a huge fan of the fourth book, so.
Yeah, and then they just remove even the possibility of that by introducing his first name immediately, for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to introduce his first name outside of a quick joke of, you don't call him the Butler. Butler is a much cooler name than
Yeah, I know. It's...
Dom or Dominoy or...
Dom would be short for Dominic, technically.
Well, I think it was Dominoid in the movie.
Okay.
I think they made it... I think they changed it.
Maybe my subconscious already blocked that out. I don't know.
Who knows?
Shit happens.
Shit happens.
My brain tries to keep as much bullshit away as possible.
Yeah. But so that... By the way, this is all talking about good stuff and then tangents from the good stuff about how they ruined it. So we're done talking about the good stuff, and I know we just spent a while critiquing it, but yeah,
we just that was just the peak of the iceberg.
Yeah.
All right. So
also wait, one last good thing. The dad is actually Irish. That's cool.
Well, yeah, it's Colin Farrell.
Yeah. So that
and that was played very well. Character-wise. But again, there's the catch-22 about how shitty the story about him was. And that's one of the points we have. So we'll start off with that one, and then we'll go down the list.
Okay.
So with that one, he was supposed to be missing.
Yeah.
Just missing. We don't know where he was supposed to be at. He doesn't supposed to even exist in the first book whatsoever. He's not come around until the Arctic Circle. And he was in this one a lot. The mom was dead apparently, which is not how it is in the book. The mom was sick and had either Alzheimer's or dementia.
Yep.
Something like that, and cause she got healed later on.
Yes.
Yes.
At the end of the first book.
Yep, that is true. So and yeah, that was a big thing. Like the mom was a huge thing for Artemis, and he kind of, he was looking for his dad, and that's why he was kind of a. Oh my god. Okay, so there's a few points all in one. Pretty much plot. Plot was fucked up.
The plot ruined anything good from the book and failed to do its own thing convincingly. Like, in the first book, Artemis was a criminal mastermind child who carried on his father's empire of crime, and he was inherently selfish and only did what was good for him.
Yes.
And
he was very narcissistic.
Yes, he was narcissistic, and the only reason why he kidnapped Holly was to get a bunch of gold from the fairies. He wanted a full, it was like almost a tub thing of solid bars of gold.
It was, the whole point was crime.
He wanted the money.
Yep.
And that worked a lot better because, one, it made Artemis's motivations interesting because it's not heroic, despite being the protagonist. And it also allowed for his character to build on the other books when you see him become less selfish and care more for others.
It's a Disney film.
Of course,
that's probably why they didn't do it.
Yeah, that's probably why they made him a generic protagonist, because at the beginning, he is like goody two-shoes. He thinks that, oh, my father can't be a criminal, he's my father.
And on top of that, his father, again, all these fucking all these bullets that we have written down are all intertwined because it's just not supposed to be this way.
Yeah. Or another small example, Artemis is shown
a secret hidden way, a doorway, staircase.
Staircase in his mansion.
That has all the secrets of the fucking fairies.
Yeah, instead of in the first book, part of what made him cool is that
Yeah.
he sought it out himself and found it himself using his own ingenuity. Now, you can like or dislike that characterization, but at least it's a solid, strong characterization. You know who he is and what he does. But in this, everything's handed to him. He doesn't actually have much of a character of his own outside of, I'm gonna save my father by following his trail that he, for some reason, knew to leave.
And then his last words were like, I'm a criminal mastermind.
Yeah, he did.
No, you're not. What crimes have you committed?
Okay, so he did kidnap somebody, but he
Oh my
treated
God,
her very
yeah.
well, let her free almost immediately, and then, like, helped her?
But he was supposed to be a
Clear his
criminal
father's
mastermind before that.
Yes. He was supposed to be rebuilding or regaining his family's wealth.
Yes.
Because a lot of it got lost when his father disappeared. And, yeah, so that sucked. And also, Artemis was a generally athletic kid in public school. Like, he was surfboarding.
He was surfing. He was. I wouldn't say. There's this one thing that he had that was like kind of combination of a skateboard and a hoverboard. It had like one little wheels.
Yeah.
But he was like boarding over a hill with that shit, and
Yeah.
I know that shit's not easy because I've been on a fucking hoverboard.
Yeah.
Nope.
Those
Nope.
things are fickle. So, yeah, the point is, he's antithetical to everything in the book. In the book, he was narcissistic, a criminal mastermind. He was always stuck indoors, which meant he wasn't
pale.
athletic. He was
described to
deathly
be very
pale.
pale.
Yeah.
Because he was always inside.
Yeah. He did not care about others outside of Butler. He did care about Butler to a certain extent, but he still selfishly used Butler in a lot of different ways.
Yep.
Here, he's a caring, athletic, generically positive protagonist.
Goodwill boy.
And they try to pretend that he has any moral complexity because he kidnapped somebody to rescue his father.
Yep.
Except he didn't do anything bad to the person he kidnapped. Yes, he kidnapped her, but he let her go free, fed her well, did all these things, and even helped clear her father's name. Holly, in the movie, her father was seen as a traitor.
Yep. Because he took the book.
The Acula...
I'm sorry. It's not really technically a physical book. It's a little egg-shaped magical thing that's supposed to be the knowledge of everything for the fairies and spells and everything, which,
Yeah.
again, special effect-wise, that
Really
part
nice,
was
neat.
great. Minus
Really
a
nice.
few terrible special effects.
This movie went up and down with special effects. There was a
Yeah.
time field that appeared, like, it kept everything in the field frozen in time.
It's like they hired and
But-
fired people back and forth about doing this shit.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Like, they
Yeah.
swapped visual effects teams, so, like, the final team had to rush to finish the effects.
Yeah, I can
That
see
would
that
explain
happening.
it.
Yeah.
Especially because this movie was supposed to come out later, but it was brought up, I believe, the release date because of
COVID stuff.
the
Or
situation.
the situation's going on around
Yeah.
here. But,
Speaking of which, still wear masks and gloves. But, yeah, so Artemis is just completely mischaracterized.
And just so you know about the visual effects guys, me and I both work with visual effects. We do this kind of stuff. I know we're kind of still considered amateurs in it, but we could have done some of this shit.
We could have made
Like,
the
if we
exact
could
scenes
do
in the
this,
movie.
come on, guys.
Like,
I mean,
yeah,
this is all I gotta say.
this is a professional VFX studio with, tens to hundreds of
Yeah.
employees, hired by Disney, the biggest name in the business, and it's not good. Yes, I know this was kind of a B movie for Disney just to get it out there, but still.
It shouldn't
come
have
on.
been. Like,
It should've been
it's a
given proper
great
treatment.
fucking story, and they should have went along with it. I mean, come on. You have no morals about Pirates of the Caribbean and Johnny Depp being a fucking Johnny Depp, Jack Sparrow, but you can't make Artemis Fowl a criminal mastermind from the get-go.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
know.
come on.
Why?
Like, it's
also-
not gonna make kids be like, oh. You know what? Actually, I'm wrong. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna stop myself right there because I do remember in first grade, during sharing what we want to be, I did say I want to be a mobster. So, okay, never mind.
Good job. Defeated your own point.
Yeah,
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Hey,
That's,
I just shoved my own foot in my mouth. It
Yeah.
happens. I do that sometimes.
not sanitary. But
still, I mean, so on a lot of stuff, I can see why they did it, and I can understand why they combined a lot of different stuff and switched it around. I can somewhat be considerable about it, but they did it in a really bad way.
Yeah,
It could have been done better. Like,
in my professional opinion, this would have been the perfect series to do a Harry Potter style thing. One book per movie, keep it contained because the books were contained.
Yeah.
They were contained stories that would have fit the movies perfectly. Yes, there were overlapping elements, especially later on.
Do it
but,
like series of unfortunate events and make it into a series.
See, it also would have worked well as a show.
Yes, exactly.
You know, make it a 16-episode show, 2 episodes per book, allow some intermingling between things. That would have worked
beautiful.
well.
I think that would have covered a lot of stuff. It would, I mean, they tried to combine all this stuff and then they rushed it. And I know they tried to do a certain type of thing, but like, okay, you want to make it family friendly. Well, the plot was not family friendly, comprehensible.
No, it wasn't.
Whatsoever. I've read the books and I'm watching this. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Like I couldn't follow this whatsoever. All right. So let's go through some of the other bullets.
Okay, so here's a big point for me, which is going to sound bad at first, but just let us explain. There's a commander called Commander Root in this. We have 10 minutes. In this thing, and Commander Root is good actress, plays her. Mm-hmm. Good performance, good
actress,
writing.
I forgot her name, but she played M in the newest James Bond movies.
Yeah.
With
I think that's her.
What's her name? It is her. Same actress.
Yeah.
About what's Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig, yeah. With the Daniel Craig James Bond, she's the actress who played M, and she's wonderful. I love that. I mean, she did the role. She did the role great. It's nothing against her.
A fantastic casting choice if they're going to go that way with the character. The thing is, in the book, or in the books, there is a specific point of Holly Short, the fairy protagonist of this book, being...
He's a misogynistic douchebag.
Commander Root's meant to be a misogynistic douchebag. He's supposed to be a male, because Holly is the first female captain of the fairy, quote-unquote, police, called Leprechaun.
Yep.
So, can I get it? Leprechaun?
Leprechaun, actually, is how you pronounce it, but, you know.
Anyway, so the point is that this was a big point in the first book, and it allowed the book to explore some interesting themes surrounding misogyny in police and military service.
Yep.
Now,
actually,
you could
the book
argue
was a huge state.
You could argue whether the book did it well or not, because there have been some disagreements on that, but at least it tried. This movie avoided any pretense of controversy by making Root a female and dropping that entire plot line.
Well,
that sucked.
Yeah, completely. It was gone. There was no fight for women's rights or anything. In this, the story.
Well, in the first book, Holly was trying to prove that female captains are as capable as male captains, which she ended up proving.
It was very inspirational. It was great in the first book.
Yeah, so it kind of obsessed me with that. And although Root was done well here, she was kind of a jackass. But in the books,
Root was done well.
In the books, Commander Root was Duke Nukem, basically, except slightly more empathetic.
Yeah.
And it was
smoking
wonderful.
Cigar constantly.
Yeah, he had a beetroot red face. I remember that description.
Yep. I remember
all the time.
Specifically. That's never gonna. That's how you know who I pictured is Jonah J. Jameson.
That would have been perfect.
That is fucking right there.
That would have been perfect.
Artemis Fowl.
Jameson.
That what do you always call Spider-Man?
I forget.
What's the specific word?
I don't remember.
Hooligan? No, it wasn't hooligan. Fuck. Whatever.
Regardless,
the point is, Root was supposed to be pretty much, J.
Jonah Jameson.
Yeah. James J. Jameson. No.
J. Jonah Jameson.
Okay, sorry. I should know this because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. He's my favorite hero of all times.
He's the best superhero. Don't prove me wrong because he can't.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, he really is the best superhero ever.
Yeah.
And I'm a Batman fan. So, if you hear from a Batman fan, you know it's real.
Yeah, so that was an issue with Root. Another issue. Opal Cowboy.
Yes.
In the books is a very petty individual. The reason why she does all the evil shit she does is because she lost a science fair competition to Foley. And that's very, petty and stuff, but it's also interesting because she gets grandiose based on that. She feels inferior, so she tries to one-up him, which fuels her own grandiosity complex,
Yep.
which fuels her even further, and it gets out of hand, and it's a very interesting way to go about developing a main villain. Because in the second book, she's kind of like a secondary villain almost, but in the fourth book, she turns into the main villain of the entire franchise.
Yeah.
Or entire book series, whatever. In this movie, she's introduced in the first book. She was only introduced in the second book, in the book series, but whatever. In this movie, she was introduced in the first book, and guess what they did? She wants to go and take over the world and put fairies back as number one.
Oh no!
Now, this was actually, I believe, a thing that happened in the 8th book, but that was after an entire 7 books building up her character.
Right?
So you could understand how she got there. Instead, we're introduced with her as wanting to do that with no justification why.
Yes!
And it makes no sense. No sense at all.
So,
Also, she's supposed to be a pixie, which is supposed to be generically attractive and beautiful. And her
She
voice
could
is supposed
be.
to be well, she could be. We don't see her face, but her voice is supposed to be good. And we don't hear her voice is like really raspy.
well, we
and
don't
weird.
know, but they're hiding it, so it could be a voice dissertation, so we don't know. But,
Maybe.
see, it's like she's trying to hide who she is, but then she gives out her fucking name.
Yeah.
Or no, wait, how did
Speaking of
Artemis even know her name?
I think that's a
I don't
plot hole.
remember.
I think that's a plot hole. Like, they just
Exactly.
forgot to write that scene in. They just wrote that Opal was somehow in charge of things. And also, it's worth pointing out that in the beginning of the movie, when you first see Holly get off of her, train thing, whatever that was, there's a mention of Cowboy Industries. Just casually. Makes sense, that's world building. But then you introduce Opal as the main antagonist and everybody knows it.
It's like, what are you trying to be, Dr. fucking Doom?
I don't know, it's,
You got
This
your own
entire thing
country,
is weird as-
you're the hero, villain, and ruler of the country. Makes no sense. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Dr. Doom. I think he's the most ultimate villain ever.
Oh, he's the best comic villain. He's only interesting because they acknowledge that he's kind of ridiculous, and they instead lean towards how human that is, I guess.
He's
They
combined...
point out his flaws, and he also acknowledges his flaws, but he still goes with them anyway, right?
He's literally the combination of Tony Stark and Doctor Strange.
Basically.
He took science and combined it with magic.
Yeah,
That's what he does.
except also evil. But
well, I mean, yeah. Well, not evil, actually. I mean, I consider him more like an anti-villain. Because it's not about conquering for him.
it's about protecting his people on, what was it, Latvia?
Latvia.
No, Latvia's the actual country, I thought.
No, Latvia is not a real country.
Okay, then Latvia.
Or Latvia is the fake one. Lithuania is the real country.
Lithuania, yeah. Okay.
So, that's
I
different.
made some mistakes. But so yeah, she's like.
Or maybe it is Latvia. You know what? I gotta look that up. I could be wrong.
The point is.
I fuck up.
The point is, Dr. Doom is cool. Opal's not. Opal
Yes.
sucks. She was in the movie for an entire 2 minutes.
Opal in the book is great.
Oh, in the book, she's
Yeah,
fantastically well
this
done.
was just
This
terrible.
was just
I was
awful.
100% disappointed.
Yeah.
I've never been. Let's just say Rise of Skywalker, complete masterpiece compared to this.
Yeah, and that's an issue. To
Yeah,
say the
no,
least.
that's saying too much.
Yeah. Okay, so we're actually running out of time. There's so many
So, let's
points
just-
here.
All right, just
I want to
read
end
them
on.
off at least.
Okay, so I'm going to read off all the points. Some of them are going to be repeats. Some of them are not going to be.
Okay.
These are some kind of good and bad points. First of all, the music had some neat moments, but was mostly basic Disney music. That's to
Okay.
be expected, but whatever. The script had some fantastic moments. It had some awful moments, but the fantastic moments did stick out a little.
Yes, they did.
Mulch had a lot of good lines.
Most
and
was funny.
Commander Root
Oh, the ending.
also had some really good lines. I'm going to get to that.
Yes,
So let's read
we'll get to
the
that
bad
later.
points. So some of these might be repeats. For example, Artemis is athletic. He's not supposed to be. He's in public school. He was supposed to be homeschooled because he's so smart.
Exactly.
His mother is dead. She wasn't supposed to be dead,
Supposed to be
and it
sick
provided an
at home.
interesting perspective on him to continue doing stuff while his
Mhm.
mother is still around. His father is a good guy that cares about people. He was just a criminal dude. In the books, he later learns to care about his son, but only after he's been kidnapped. So that removes that entire character arc. Butler's name, we already talked about that. Artemis is a good guy. He shouldn't be. Artemis was handed information about the fairies and didn't find out by himself. That sucks. We talked about the casting for Holly, Roots, and Butler. Opal sucks.
Mm-hmm. Opal suck. Did you actually write that down?
I wrote Opal sucks and underlined it, okay?
Nice.
The Aculos is kind of an annoying plot device because it just feels like it's there for the sake of things to happen. It didn't feel very naturally inserted into the story.
It was forced. It was very forced. Yeah.
There's a framing device with this where a giant dwarf named Mulch is in a supermax prison in the middle of the ocean, and he's explaining what's happening. It's kind of a neat framing device,
starts
but
off
annoying.
really well and ends being really annoying.
Yeah. So I'm going to get through a few more points before to get on that, but I just want to touch on that.
Yep.
Special effects varied a lot. There's a lot of plot inconsistencies.
That was a roller coaster.
Yeah, the floor effects were plot inconsistencies, like knowing about the shit with.
Acolyte.
No, not Aculos.
Aculos, sorry.
The Opal, yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff with knowing Opal.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, well, there's a lot of plot.
There's a lot of plot
back and forth. It's fucked up.
There's like a time force thing that like traps a specific area in a single time.
And
in the books,
that's so wrong.
In the books, it made sense, and it had some interesting implications with how it was done. I'm not going to get into it, but it's very interesting. I recommend you read the first book. It was very
theoretical, scientific in the books. In this movie?
In this movie, it was dumb.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So, also the relationships between characters was rushed a lot. Like, Holly and Artemis became friends almost immediately, even though Artemis kidnapped
like
Holly.
3 books later.
Yeah, they develop a begrudging respect for each other and are forced to work together for the first few books.
Yeah, but they're not friends.
They're not friends until much later. So now let's get to the final point I wrote, which is ruined their own good ending. The movie's framing device is Mulch Diggums explaining the plot. That allows for his narration to go throughout the movie, blah, 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 blah.
Started off that way, it had some cutscenes in a way, which are the parts that got annoying because it happened too much.
Yeah.
But then it had that ending, like, it was very Mission Impossible style, and it was almost perfect. And I was going to say this is a great, and then it kept going.
So the thing is, it ends with, the people that are interviewing Mulch, they think that he's just a human who's just really good at tunneling.
Yeah.
So, and like he's just robbing the Fowl estate or helping them rob something because they know the Fowls are criminals. So they're like, right, you told us this fantastical story of fairies, pixies, and death, and we don't believe you. And Mulch says, well, that's good, I don't remember the exact thing, but basically, would you rather go that way, that means, no, he says that...
You're talking about keeping safe.
Yeah, so... He says that, okay, that's fine if you don't believe it, but the people say that he's going to get walk-free if he talks about Fowl Sr., and Mulch says, actually, I think what's going to happen is you're going to let me walk free and never look into the Fowls again. And
what he said was, it's like, I'm going to get myself out of here.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to get myself out of here.
And you're going to leave the Fowls alone.
Yeah, and the interviewer asks, why the hell would we do that, basically? And Mulch goes... because that way you can keep reading your fairy tales and have good dreams instead of being in a living nightmare.
Yep.
And then if it cut there, that would have been cool.
It would have been beautiful.
That would have been the perfect level of dramatic. And then it kept going, and it kept going, and then the Mission Impossible Mulch out of the fucking facility.
It even started with the beginning of Mission Impossible theme.
That sounds like it almost might trademark infringement.
Well, they changed it, obviously, so it wouldn't be. But it started off as a Mission Impossible thing, and I'm like, oh, hell no. All of a sudden, there's a fucking ladder, and a helicopter, and him being carried out, and I'm like, I'm done. Quit.
So, there's so much more we could talk about the movie, but we're running out of time.
Yes.
The main point, this movie sucked. Don't watch it, but if you do watch it, have a few drinks with you. Or a bunch.
Or smoke a lot of fucking weed.
Or smoke a lot of weed.
Honestly.
You know, I'm not one to recommend drugs, but also, I'm pretty sure it'd be enjoyable if you're, knocked out.
He's not to recommend drugs, but he's recommending the movie is.
That's how bad the movie is. Get on some shrooms, the are going to be cooler.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know. Anyway, don't watch the movie. Thank you.
Alright, and this has been the Kaos Circus Gang, and you guys have a wonderful night.
Yes, have a good night.